Hi everybody, welcome to today's Torah Study pre-Passover. This is like one of my favorite ones to talk about, especially since it's pictorial. So I hope you all have the handouts that this is the front page of. So we're going to do a lot of pictures and then maybe a little sources. Most people who are familiar with the Pesach, the Passover Seder, are aware that throughout the generations there have been illuminated or pictured Seders, so pictured Haggadahs. And I'd like to discuss, we're not here to discuss every aspect of it, but I picked one aspect that I'd like to talk about today. And that is, what is the evil son? So if you look at the sources handouts, for those of you who are unfamiliar with the Passover Seder, at the Passover Seder, we mentioned that there are 4 sons, children, who ask questions at the Seder. There's the wise son, the wicked son, the simple or innocent son, and the one who actually doesn't ask. So what's interesting, and I think it's a nice way of overview of history, a nice way of thinking about these topics, is how was the evil son portrayed throughout history? So if you would like to join me, I think the pages are double-sided. We'll go through it together. So the first one is actually from a pretty ancient one, the Prado Haggadah, 14th century. And again, this is obviously a calligraphy and by hand before printing presses was invented. And it looks like for those of you who read Hebrew, the left side is the Chacham, is the wise son, and the right side is the Rasha, is the evil son. And he looks like a soldier. He's got a long knife and he's got a short knife. Okay, very, very simple. If you go to page 2, and this I'm going to talk about a little bit more at the end. This is from a very famous Amsterdam Haggadah. This was like cutting edge technology of the late 1690s, which I know that sounds like a funny thing to say, but this was like, you could see, for those of you, the way I printed it, you can see the next one. You see that's Offenbach in 1721. You can see that that's a very poor. It's a very poor reproduction of the 1695 Amsterdam one, which just shows you that. It just shows you how impressive the 1695 Amsterdam was. So the question is, and I guess we'll skip to that. We'll do that first for the fun of it. Where did they get these images in 1695? Where do these pictures come from? So if you want to skip to the back of the booklet for a second, where it says wise son, it says wise son on top of the page. So you'll see interesting. So this is the wise son. It's actually it was expected that the reader of the Haggadah was aware of art. So this is a very famous painting of Herodotus receiving a crown of honor in Athens. You all know Herodotus, right? Is the father of history. Right, Cicero gave him that title, and here there's a painting in Godfrey's Chronic from 1630. So it's a 65-year-old painting, which then became the symbol of the wise son. And again, and if you look at the next one, that's really the most instructive for us. This is the evil son. The evil son is a soldier, but it's not just a soldier. I know this is a hard image to imagine, but can anyone guess what biblical image is being portrayed in the original? It's a tough one, and I'm not going to hold anyone if they don't know their Bible history or their Bible imagery well. Anyone want to guess? It's okay. That's a soldier fleeing from. You can see there's an angel in the clouds smiting an army. So for those of you who remember, the Assyrians led by wicked King Sennacherib had conquered the 10 tribes and was besieging Jerusalem roughly the year 700 BCE. And according to the Bible, they all died in a plague at the outside of the walls. And this soldier was running away. So he's the evil soldier from the Assyrian army running away. So that's the interesting way to put that as the evil son. If you look at the next page, again, this is simple son. As you can see that when they took the images, and they Jewishized them a little bit. Even though it's weird, because this image is actually the prophet Samuel anointing the young Saul to be the first Jewish king. But you notice they put a hat on him. And the reason they put a hat on him was because in many locales, Jews were either forced to wear a hat or wore a hat to identify themselves as Jews. So that's why you'll notice that the only thing they added to the image was the hat. And last but not least, the simple son, which is always interesting to me, and we'll talk about it later. Does anybody know what this image is? It is not a Jewish image, the original Jewish image. And this is, again, they added a beanie to Jewishize it. But does anybody know where this original image is? Or who it is? No? That's Hannibal. That's Hannibal swearing eternal enemy to Rome. You heard of Hannibal, I imagine, the general? So his father made him swear before he went out for the first time to war that Rome will be his eternal enemy. So it's interesting that they chose that image to be the simple son, which is a little, in my opinion, a little weird, but we'll get back to that. So that if you go back to the second page, that is what the Amsterdam 1690s Haggadah chose as their 4 images for the sons. But again, I think it is instructive. Again, then you see the next one, Offenbach, which is a poor copy of the Amsterdam Haggadah. If you turn, then this is again later on. This is a little bit from Italy, and here you have the Russia, the evil son, dressed up again as a soldier. And that was a common theme throughout the Middle Ages and in the early modern period, where unfortunately soldiers were the mortal enemies of the Jewish people, and they were persecuted so much so that they used the soldier motif would have been the enemy. Even though, again, what's weird is it's the text of the Seder is your son or daughter sitting at your table. Here they're making the evil one someone outside of your camp, someone distant from you, the soldier who's oppressing you. Here already, now if you turn to the next one, this is from Chicago in 1890s, so I know we're skipping a bunch of years. So this is one, you have a nice family sitting around the table, and can you identify the evil son? I think it's pretty obvious, right? You got the mom and dad sitting there. You got, if you look at the picture, you got the left son, the nice, quiet little boy staring at his book, reading. You have the 2 little boys in front of you, and to the right, you've got the evil son. And again, he's smoking, right? That's he's bareheaded. He's leaning back at his chair, I guess pointing at his father. I'm not really sure about that one, but already you see the concept, which is I guess the modern concept that somehow we're going to use the evil son in our pictures as like the mom telling the kid, this is what you shouldn't be, right? This is what. So the Haggadah pictures are going to be, don't be like that. So everyone, every generation or every few years, we'll have a different person who we shouldn't be like. So if you turn to the next page, this is from a little bit later. Here you have similar ideas. The wise son is sitting and learning his books, and the evil son. It's again, there's the kid got good images. He's smoking. I don't know if you can see that. He's got a bottle of booze in his pocket, right? So and he's got something like whip or something in his hand. So again, we're identifying him. And then of course, if you notice from my flyer, it was very popular in the early 1900s to have bare-knuckled boxing. That means the men box, obviously no shirt, and you boxed. Right? There was for those of you who are history buffs, on my flyer, I don't know if the flyer went around, but the flyer was Boxing Levinsky. That was a famous Jewish, Levinsky was a stage name, but he was a famous Jewish bare-knuckle boxer. And this Haggadah is of a 1920s Haggadah. I actually have an original of this Haggadah, great Haggadah from the 1920s, and that's the illustration. And a little bit later here you have the Russia having a dog, which was an interesting. Again, we're not going to discuss whether or not, but traditionally, especially in the early 1900s, it wasn't part of Jewish culture to have a dog. So he was robbing a purse. He was smoking again. You see that even though smoking again was acceptable in the early 1900s, but what?
That's what I was going to ask.
Yeah, smoking was acceptable, and you'll notice here also that the simple son is more of an adult. There's a big, again, we could do this whole lecture about the simple son, who he is. Is simple a good thing, simple a bad thing? Is he an older child, a younger child? But that would go off topic. Here you have Very interesting. So the one on the right is from Lodz, L-O-D-Z. Lodz is a town in Poland from 1937, and here you have a very if you can imagine, right, you all understand what was going on in 1937 in Poland, the Holocaust, World War II about to start. So here we have a very Germanic, European-looking guy, and he's the evil son. It's a beautiful Haggadah. If you get your hand on it, it's really, and again, because the more modern is. Now, very weird, 1951 or 52, top left, is a Zionist Haggadah. Zionists, so they were settling the land, and what were they building? They were making kibbutzim. They were working the land. They went into the land. The capitalist was the evil son. And if you can see, you can see like on the left hand side of the picture, you can see like a watchtower, an Israeli flag, water flowing, a spade, and the capitalist is wearing a tie. You don't wear a tie when you work the field, and he has dollar bills sticking out of his pocket. So the capitalist was the evil son in communistic style life of early Israel. And I want to contrast that with the 1959, 58, and 59 Haggadah on the next page, page 8. There was an artist named Sigmund Forst who made two Haggadahs, one after the other. So the one on the left from 1958, the evil son is pretty obvious. He's stamping on a Torah scroll. Like that's, that image doesn't really need to be explained. But on the right, which is 1959, it's hard. So you got the bottom right, who's a simple son, he's got his racing, and again with the cigar in the hand. Cigar seems to be a very, very, I guess, a popular evil motif. But you'll notice on the top left is the evil son. And like you wouldn't have thought, like, who is that? Like, it's hard to imagine who is that evil son. And that for those of you, I don't know if I live in Lourdes. There's a rabbi in Far Rockaway named Rabbi Forst. He's the son of this artist, and that's who is the enemy? Who is the evil son in 1959?
The Grim Reaper.
What? Sort of. Again, yeah. It's actually a model for the communistic states. Communism was the eternal enemy of religion and of America in 1959, right? Cold War. People were really learning on how mistreated the Jews were in Soviet Russia. So all of a sudden, the communist is the evil son, which is very interesting because, like, again, that just shows you how we keep changing. And of course, last but definitely not least, on page 9, the evil son is, let's see how well you know your American pop culture references from decades ago. Okay, there we go. Professor Berman knew it. Anyone else? You're a little bit older. That's Groucho and Chico Marx. The Marx Brothers. No one here, Marx Brothers, right? That's a little too old reference for some of us or younger. So there was a bunch, 4 brothers, Jewish brothers, called the Marx Brothers, and they were a famous comedic group. And there was a smart one, Groucho Marx, who had traditionally, he's got the cigar, but that's only because that was his trademark. When he, so we are, no, okay. And what? You know that. Thank you. For those of us a little bit older, what was his TV show at the end that he had?
Actually, it's beyond us. We know it.
It is, yeah, it's beyond us. But again, you should, if you want like good old comedy, A Night at the Opera. Right? That was the famous one. You should, when you're bored on YouTube or Netflix and you need something else to watch.
He actually went to the synagogue where I was bat mitzvahed.
Did he really?
Marx.
Oh wow.
Where is that?
It was in Los Angeles.
Wow.
Yeah.
So it also he had a game show afterwards. What was it called? Something about your line. I thought it was
My line?
What's about, yeah. So if you go to YouTube, I'm sure it's all there.
Yeah.
And his brother, the evil brother, was Chico Marx. That's the bottom right one. And just for the fun of it, I wanted to show you something interesting. If you look at the next page, this on the Mantua 1560 Haggadah. So again, this is really one of the early, very early, because again, printing press is 1475. Anything that stage was in before 1500 in Cannabula. So you're talking about early stages of printing press. And the wise son has got a very weird stance. So what people do is they try to figure out where they got this from. If you look at the next page, does anybody recognize or can read from the bottom of the page who that is? Depending on how good you are at Latin. Anyone? It says it on the bottom. In what? It says Hermes, but it's not Hermes. Try and pretend you're reading Latin. That's Jeremiah. That's right, the H and the J. So that's just Latin Jeremiah. This is actually from the Sistine Chapel. So, which is again, Mantua is north of Italy. What you see interesting is that they had no problem, the early Jewish printers, taking from, you wouldn't expect to take an image from the Sistine Chapel to be your, like in your Passover Haggadah. So it's very interesting that you had that here. It's actually very interesting why he took it. I don't know how I'm not going to test it on other Hebrew, but the Hebrew word for nose is af. Af also means in Hebrew also, or even though. So that's actually right here. So they looked for an image where the nose played a significant role. So they found this image of Jeremiah, right, a good, nice Jewish prophet, found the image, and they decided to use that for the wise son. And notice again, they put on a specific hat, which was the Jewish hat that they had to wear in Italy at the time. So that's how they Jewishized this Michelangelo's painting. Again, it's also a woodcut, so it's not like, it's not a painting, it's a woodcut. Nevertheless, from the early stages of and again, I think we did all the pictures, and I hope you keep them and enjoy them. I think, with the printers throughout the ages have realized sometimes the Passover Seder could be a little bit longer than people like, or it could be, some people get lost, and pictures are a great way for people to stay involved. But I want to, now that I've done all that, so right, and I think it's great, I want to argue on everything. I want to say everything's wrong, just for my sake. What do I mean? It's very interesting. Yes, it keeps everyone interested, nice pictures, and again, you'll notice every picture is timely. Right, it makes sense. So, right, the evil son of the Zionists is the capitalist, and the evil American one is the communist, right? Because you go with what you're, bare knuckle boxer if you're 1920. What's interesting is that the Passover Seder actually is not about that. The Passover Seder is not about trying to identify. Again, this is like seemingly a throw-off line in this Passover Seder. 4 sons, there's so much more going on. Slavery and Egypt and 10 plagues and, whatever we think about Passover, there's much more going on that happens to be a cute story that 4 children ask questions. So why is it in the Passover Seder? And what is the author of the Passover Seder, the Haggadah, trying to teach us by including it? And again, is it just a cute story so that whoever's leading your Seder, I don't know how it goes in your Seder, but when you have a big family around, sometimes the person leading the Seder will go try to identify who the smartest person at the table is or who the evilest person at the Seder is. Okay, we'll leave that for whoever runs your Seder. That might not be so nice. But if you think about it, so now if you want to just look at the handout with the Hebrew and the English from the Passover Seder, the evil son, it doesn't sound so evil. He asks you, again, hear the English, what is this worship you're doing? And not only that, that's a biblical verse. So if you look at the next page, it comes from Exodus, and it says, one day your children, meaning, right, God told the Jewish people when they took them out of Egypt, keep this tradition and remember this events. And he said, predicted the future. You're going to have children in the future who ask you, what's this? That's very normal. It's very hard. I don't know the ages of the people in the room, but so for my children who are young teenagers, the Holocaust is history, right? The Holocaust, for those of us who are older, was part of our lives. And I was born in the 1970s, but my grandparents were Holocaust survivors, and the Holocaust was something that we lived with in a way. For my children and for the next generation, the Holocaust is something that happened in the past to their ancestors. No different than the Inquisition or the massacres in Ukraine in 1648. So they're just part of Jewish history, or whatever it may be. So that you see, so the Bible is very clear. It says your kids are going to ask, what are you doing? Tell me about the history. The Bible's right. Kids of the next and future generations don't know what happened. And you might think it's, wow, everyone knows about this. We lived through it. It's not true. So he says, what is this worship to you? And we get so angry at him. We say, to you and not to yourself? and he excluded himself from the collective. He denied a principle of faith and will punch his teeth out. I mean, and we say that God has done this for this sake and not for you. If you would have been there, you would not have been saved. Like seriously? Like he's just a bad kid, a good kid. He's asking a very, innocuous question. And all of a sudden we pick on one word. He says, "Why? What are you doing?" Like the "you" is like such a dirty word. What are you doing? And we get rid of him. And you'll notice very interesting that you would have thought that if you have to group you have 4 people and you would try to pick all the possibilities, so you would say wise or maybe unwise. So that's really, you have the innocent. So the innocent son would be the opposite of wise. So that would be a grouping. So what is the evil that he's grouped with the one who can't ask? That is a very big clue. And that is, and again, I take this very personally because I teach history. And, to me, history is like, wow, the most important thing. Like, how could you not know what's going on or what happened? And many people are very, very okay. I guess, I don't know, I'm sure they still do it, but when Jay Leno used to go, and that makes myself old, right, or who's whatever the Late Show hosts, I don't know. They go around the street, ask people ridiculous questions, name the continents, and no one knows, or who's the vice president today, which I assume everyone here knows. I'm not going to play that game. But there are a lot of things people don't know history, it bothers me. But I get it, I know deep down that to a lot of people it's just not relevant. It's I got to deal with what I have in front of me. The wise and simple or innocent son, they want to engage with what's going on. And it depends. If you're wise, you ask a wise question. And if you're simple, you ask a simple question on the past. The evil son and the son who doesn't ask are not evil every other night of the year. I know the pictures say not that way. They're the ones who are I'm sorry, this doesn't speak to me. It just doesn't talk to me. The worst son, if I could say it that way, is the one who doesn't even bother asking. He's whatever, do what you want. I couldn't care less. You're on your own. The evil son, in a way, is what are you guys doing? Listen, it's good. Enjoy. I feel you do you, but nothing to do with me whatsoever. And I think that the message. How you doing? Hi. The message of the Seder. The message of the Seder is that you have to be engaged. The message of the Seder was the evil son, not like all the pictures, is that it has relevance to you. And the job of the person leading the Seder, or the job of the people reading at the Seder, is to get to that point where everyone realizes that there's something there that speaks to you, or should speak to you. So that's why we say, you took yourself out. You said, what is this for you? That's the worst thing you could say. He doesn't have to smoke. He doesn't have to bet on the ponies. He doesn't have to be a communist or a capitalist. But he says, it's not me, it's you. And the whole job of ourselves at Passover is to understand that history is what created me. I was talking recently to someone of my age who's a doctor in Israel, and where it's common, especially in the mental health field. Someone told me this, that to say, oh, it's a 3rd generation Holocaust or 2nd generation Holocaust. It's obvious that the Holocaust has. Again, I consider myself 2nd generation. My mother, right, or 3rd generation, depending how you want to say it. It's obvious where these had an impact. Those historical events relevant to you. Right? I personally, just if I could share, I can't throw out food. Why can't I throw out food? Because my grandparents were Holocaust survivors, and you can't imagine, how could I throw out food? They went through Auschwitz. I know that's not. I'm not saying it's normal. I'm just saying that's who I am. So history talks to me. That history. But the Crusades, what do I have from the Crusades? Although, and if anyone here is Ashkenazi Jewish, before you get married, please do some genetic testing, because the Crusades killed almost all of the Ashkenazi Jews, and the persecutions from the year 1096 to the 1300s were boiled down to everyone's their own third and fourth, fifth, sixth cousin, and therefore all the genetic mutations are there. So if you, deep down, the Crusades actually had an effect on you if you're an Ashkenazi Jew, but we'll leave that for another time. We'll talk about genetics at a future health science event. But I think that's what we're trying to do at the Seder, is somehow make history, and it was 3,000 years ago, I get it, somehow that it's my story. And that is what we're trying to portray in the evil son. That story, that part of the Seder, evil son and all that, is to tell you, let's make it relevant to ourselves. Thank you. Wish you all a great Passover. Hope you enjoyed. Have a great day. Thank you.